Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Carolina Pulled Pork. Well, today we're gonna be smoking up a pork butt for some Lexington-style Carolina Pulled Pork, characterized by that vinegar bite that's mopped over the pork butt throughout the cook. But the first thing we gotta do is get the grill going. So today we're cooking on the Kamado Joe Classic III. We've got the slow roller system set up, which is gonna give us some really great smoke flavor on this pork butt. We wanna run it about 300 degrees today. We're gonna start with a bed of charcoal using the KJ Big Block. It's gonna burn all day long, really efficiently for us. So this is obviously a lump charcoal that comes in nice big pieces. These break down nice and slow, burn for a long time. And then of course you've got your smaller pieces to help kind of get it going. So we wanna get a good coal bed going. I'm gonna start with some fire starters and just let this thing get going. We're gonna give that charcoal bed a little bit of time to get started. In the meantime, we're gonna start trimming up this pork butt. So this is the Boston butt pork shoulder. We got the fat cap side here. On this opposite side is where we're gonna do most of our trimming. We're gonna find this little crevice that holds all of this connective tissue and stuff that I don't really wanna chew on later. So we're gonna get rid of that. So once you find that, it should be on that blade bone end. There's a blade bone right there. You're gonna locate this crevice, get your knife, and just kind of start cutting down into that to separate where these two muscles naturally separate. I don't really intend to do too much trimming on this pork butt today. And when I say that, what I mean is I'm leaving the fat cap on. A lot of times in our videos, you guys have seen me take the fat cap off. But we're gonna do this as fuss-free today as possible. This connective stuff, I just really don't like the mouthfeel or picking this out of the cooked pulled pork in the end, so that's why we're getting rid of it now, because a lot of this stuff either won't break down or only breaks down to kind of a gross consistency. But we're just trying to take as much of this white stuff off as possible, leaving that red meat behind. So that's that, pretty easy stuff. Now on the surface here, I would feel around, make sure there's not any bones on there that maybe the butcher missed. I'm not feeling anything, which is great. Fat cap side, we're just gonna leave the way it is. All right, so for the seasoning, also gonna be pretty simple. Typically with the Lexington-style pork, they're just gonna put salt on it. It pains me to only put salt on it, so we're gonna do just a little bit more than that. Now this right here is just a little bit of our Tar Heel tang. This is a Carolina style sauce that we sell, but it's gonna be our binder for today. We are gonna make a mop from scratch, but this is a great little sauce to have on your pork sandwich. So for that seasoning, we're gonna be using the Killer Hogs TX brisket rub. So this is essentially just salt, pepper, with a couple other little flavors in there like garlic, onion, and parsley. So really straightforward, not much to it. We're gonna let the pork do most of the talking today, along with that vinegar mop that we'll be mopping throughout the process. Just a thin layer to get that seasoning to stick. The big piece of meat, so we can give it a good amount of seasoning. That seasoning is just gonna meld and mellow out over the coming hours as we smoke this baby. Mop up some of that rub from the board. And that's it. We got a nice coal bed going now, so I'm gonna throw in a couple chunks of our pecan wood. Get some nice smoke out of those. Put our plate here on top. We're gonna come in with the divide and conquer system. And I'm gonna set this up so that if I wanna add more wood later, I can go ahead and just open that up, pop that open, and throw more in. And we'll put these on the highest setting since we are smoking to try and get away from the heat coming off, just radiating off of that plate. So when that temperature comes up to 300, we're gonna stabilize it right there and cut down that airflow a bit. So the pork butt's gonna go on fat side down just to give us a little thermal barrier in between where the heat is radiating. For now, we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna let it smoke open and start to form that bark. Now the game plan for today's cook is we're gonna let it smoke open the entire way. It's never getting wrapped. And every hour or so, I'm gonna come back out here and we're going to mop it with our mopping sauce. So let's put that mopping sauce together. So we're gonna start off with 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. We're gonna add to that a 1/2 cup of ketchup. Then we've got a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a tablespoon of crushed red pepper, and then we'll do 1 tablespoon of our kosher sea salt. So that, we'll just shake it up to mix all that together. Start to dissolve the salt and sugar. And you can even do this ahead of time, overnight. The longer it sits, the better it's gonna taste. I'm not gonna start mopping until about an hour into this cook, so it'll have a good hour to kind of get to know each other in the jar there. Well, it's been an hour since our pork butt went on. We're gonna open this grill up and show you how it looks, and when we do that, we're also going to mop for the first time. So looking nice already, starting to form a bark. We wanna make sure that we've got a little bit of texture on there and our rub's really attached as we're gonna start basting now. So we got our mop sauce now. We got our mop. Just gonna start dumping on the flavor. And that's all there is to it. Every hour, we'll come back out here and do this again. All right, guys, here's the 2-hour mark. Colors, man, just looking great. That's really progressing. Gonna hit it with the mop once again, and then let it keep going. Well, we are at the 4-hour mark now, still just mopping away and letting this thing smoke. As you can see, the color's incredible. I mean, we're gonna have some unreal bark on this when we're done. And every time we mop this, it gets a little bit more of that caramelization on the surface. And just for kicks, let's take a thermometer and see where we're at 4 hours in. About 175 coming up on. So we've got a good 30 degrees to go. Let's just let it work. All right, guys, 7 hours in, quite a bark going now. Turn this around for you. Right here is where that blade bone is. And essentially what we need for pulled pork is for this blade bone to pull out of here. As you can see, we are really close. So I'm gonna give this one last mop. Well, it's been about 7.5 to 8 hours now, total cook time. This bone's about ready to slip out of here. Our internal temperature is up over 205 degrees in the deepest part of the pork butt, so we're ready to pull this thing off. Well, there it is. Incredible bark on the outside of there. And this thing, look at this, just cracking, ready to come apart. Give this shoulder blade a little wiggle, and it's ready to slip out of there as well. Man, it smells incredible. Great smoke aroma coming off of it. Also just picking up on that slightly sweet, vinegary aroma that's coming off of that mop. I mean, this stuff looks incredible. You're gonna get a great bark to meat ratio with a cook like this. I mean, this bark has got some woof to it. So just gonna kind of shred this up by hand here. On the opposite side, we've got the fat cap. And that fat cap has rendered out. It's created this really crispy kind of a fat layer that is like, I mean, this is like crackling right here. I'm gonna grab a knife. This right here is actually what we call the money muscle in competition barbecue. So that's some of the most tender meat on the pork butt. But this right here, this has just got a great crunch to it. I like to dice this up and just mix it in with the meat. Smells like chicharron. And this stuff comes apart pretty easy by hand here. Still nice and juicy down in the center of that. I'm gonna spread our fat cap crackling around. And then this, man, this is ready to eat. Throw it on a slice of bread with a little bit of that vinegar mop sauce. Or today we're gonna do some Tar Heel tang. All right, I'm looking for some of that bark. I want some of the juicy stuff too, and a little bit of that crackling. I'm just gonna top it off now with a little bit of Tar Heel tang, that tomato vinegar bite. Oh yeah. Man, the crunch from that crackling's incredible. Great smoke flavor. The textures are all over the place because you've got that black bark on the outside with the juicy pulled pork on the inside. And then that little bit of heat out of the Tar Heel tang just puts it over the top. I love my Kansas City barbecue, but I gotta say, you guys know what you're doing out there in Carolinas. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.